If you've been in marching band before, you know what a drill down is. The band condenses into a block, and the drum major shouts out commands. You can turn left, right, and around. Easy enough, right? Well, for every command, you have to do it
You
at
need
the
to
same
remember to
speed
say
of the drum
vocals,
major.
sometimes the
When
drum
it's
major
two,
will
you have
call
to
their
do
timing
it
loud
without
enough,
command.
regardless
It's
of
pretty
the vocals
annoying.
of the
Man,
command
get
can
out
get fast
as
one.
well.
Pretty
And
annoying.
the
That
bad
restaurant
want
was
to
built
build
because
pretty
vocals.
hard. Fries were so crisp. Hey, why'd everyone stop talking? Anyway, there's a lot of complications, such as silent drill, which makes it so that you don't say anything in response to the commands, and don't get me started on by the numbers, where the drum major shouts out commands like, here, let me just give you an example. Silent drill, by the numbers, canceling all previous commands, by the numbers, canceling all previous commands, silent drill, by the numbers, left haste, right haste, about haste, right haste, left haste, right haste, right haste, left haste, about haste, about haste, about haste, canceling all even commands, canceling all odd commands, left haste, right haste, left haste, canceling all commands with regular polygons with a corresponding number of sides that have interior angles divisible by 5. 1. Dang it, I forgot it was silent drill. Sometimes it feels like you always get out of drill downs because of a stupid mistake. If only you could try again, you would totally win. But what if you couldn't just try again, but try as many times as you wanted? I have recorded like 10 hours of footage with the hope of going through game development in order. Unfortunately, I am not editing all that. So this will mostly be a retrospective, split into multiple sections about the different parts of game development. The concept of this game was pretty simple. Implement drill downs as keyboard presses. I figured that I didn't need a game design document like the one that I used for my previous game. This might have been a bad idea, as it would have been helpful to solidify my ideas before getting to work on my game. Other than that, though, there's not too much to comment on this front. The game's art is pretty simple. I started out with a black outline of the character, then colored it in with a simple 3-color palette, and polished up everything. Voila! After that, I just made a bunch of different angles for the different positions you can be in during a drill down. I added variants of the player sprite for the other members of the band and the drum major, which are just different colors. Aside from that sprite, there is this tile set, which I used Asprite's tiling feature for. This is where most of the work in the game came from. I started out by making sure that the player could turn properly by pressing directions and enter attention and parade rest. After that, I added timing, which I did just by adding a bunch of timers to the player for the beats and for the window that you can do your input. My code was quickly turning into spaghetti, and while I like spaghetti, I do not like debugging, and it took a lot of debugging to get this to happen.
Left, haste, 1, 2.
Along the way, I made this debug menu to make the process faster. After implementing haste, it was pretty easy to implement parade rest and attention. After that, I started to work on the script that would call out commands. There would be some random number generators that would call a command whenever the player was not in a command, deciding based on the player's current state. If the player was in attention, it would pick essentially randomly between the different possible commands, but if the player was in parade rest, then the next mechanic would come in handy.
Left, haste. As you were, sir. As you were.
Implementing As You Were was painful, as I had to edit everything in my original script to do something different when the player was in the state of As You Were. After yet another few hours of debugging, As You Were was working, and I wouldn't have to touch that pile of hot garbage again. What wishful thinking. So now that I'm done with that, it's time for... oh no. By the numbers. It turns out that this thing is as annoying to program as it is to follow. The way I chose to do it is to keep track of whether the player is in by the numbers, and yet again edited everything to include a state for it. When haste is called, there would be no input monitored, then the command would be added to a queue that would be exhausted by another function called 1, that kept track of what command the player needed to do, and managed the queue, and did all the other stuff. Honestly, I don't even know. I'm glad I don't need to touch this code anymore. Now that, after a lot of debugging of course, by the numbers was working, all I needed to do was finish up the remainder of the stuff, which meant implementing difficulty, adding other band members, and creating a main menu and tutorial. Implementing difficulty wasn't too hard. I had a timer loop increasing difficulty by 1 each time it timed out. In the code, I added different states to the command generator, which would make the commands faster or absurdly slow and hard to follow. By the numbers is introduced at difficulty 1 and grows in length every time the difficulty increases. The other band members are one collective hive mind with no purpose or reason to exist besides incessantly following commands, wasting away in a pointless reality. So what I'm trying to say is that the other band members are controlled by a script, which the player script calls functions to make follow commands. I also added the drum major, which is just a static sprite. The main menu was simple enough, with a big font saying Drill Down Simulator and buttons to start and for the tutorial. The tutorial took a while to make and debug, but it was quite a bit less of a headache than coding the player and commands. The code is pretty simple. There's a variable that keeps track of the state, which the code uses to know what text to display and what commands to call. The code uses a timer and the player's variables to know when to switch to the next state. After completing the tutorial, you're sent back to the main menu. I made a track for this game, which I would go into detail for, but I already made a video about that, which you can check out if you want. Anyway, I made the track and then just made a stripped down version for the tutorial, taking out everything but the drums and bass. This is one of my favorite parts of this game. I started out with just recording my voice. Left, haste! Then I figured I should add some reverb. Left, haste! Whoa. Might as well roll with this effect.
Left, haste!
That's exactly what drum majors sound like in real life. For legal reasons, this is a joke. Anyway, I like this effect, which was just loads of reverb plus 2 other tracks pitched down and up respectively. I recorded all the other commands, cut them up, and put them in Godot. One thing that I would have done differently if I was to redo this is leave a lot more space in the recording, so the reverb wouldn't have to awkwardly cut off like it does now. You can play Drill Down Simulator on my itch.io page in the description, and download a Windows version from there as well. If there are any Linux or Mac users in the comments, maybe I'll add a Linux version. Meanwhile, here's one of my runs in Drill Down Simulator.
Your drill down will begin when I call you to attention. Fall out on your honor. If you do not find your honor, we will find it for you. Band. Attack. Hut. 1. Right. Pace.
1, 2,
Band. Attack. Hut.
1,
Right. Pace.
1, 2,
About. Pace.
1, 2,
Parade. Less.
1,
Band. Attack. Hut.
1,
By the numbers. Right. Pace. Left. Pace. About. Pace.
1,
2. 1. 2. 1. 2. Canceling all previous commands. Left. Pace.
1, 2,
Right. Pace.
1, 2,
Right. Pace.
1, 2,
Parade. Less.
1. Subscribe and smash that like button. If this video gets 1 million likes, I will remove Mount Everest from the face of the earth.